Everyone, P. Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Album Homework Assignment. We got the UK connection in the house doing battle today. Stephen Reid and Simon Bray from Scotland and somewhere in the UK. I'm not going to bother to try and say where because I'll get it wrong anyway. But Simon is back from vacation. He's had a wonderful time. They've both been living with their assignments for the last couple of weeks. I have no idea what they are. I'm waiting for them both to tell me and each other about what they thought of their albums. So Simon's been smiling since he came on. And what did you think of your assignment, Simon?
Yeah. Okay. As I was saying off air, Stephen has completely stuffed me on this one. 100% stuffed me. Yep. I thought I'll have a look at these, talk of him track by track. Then, yep, it's in Japanese. All the titles are in Japanese. The words are everything's Japanese. So, yeah, thank you. Just remind me how we say the name of the band, Stephen?
Oh, who knows? I mean, even actually getting the spelling over here is virtually impossible. So you Google them, and this turns into either Onmyoza or Onmusa, and the hyphen falls in different places. One's got a U, one doesn't. Apart from that, it's really easy. It translates supposedly into the gathering of yin and yang. There you go.
Okay, so we got two albums here, or one album?
Two albums. Well. There is two albums. I mean, there is two albums. Okay. Both released on the same day.
Okay.
And there is a concept. There is a concept here, okay? I have no idea what the concept is. However, so they do join, and it is obvious. It's a double album released separately on the same day.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. We don't really know what the name of the band. I'm not even going to try and repeat what the name of the band is.
I think it's Onmyoza.
Onmyoza. Okay. All right.
Onmyoza. Okay. Sometimes there's a U after the second O.
All righty. Wow. Simon probably got this assignment. He was like,
I just want you to imagine, man, first of all, on an airplane, then lounging around the pool, thinking, should I go with the new Halloween album or should I go with some Japanese shit? Well, I went with the Japanese stuff quite a lot. And yeah, I mean, I'm not phased at all by music in foreign language. It doesn't faze me at all. Like loads of bands that don't play in English. So I'm going to take them kind of both together because I was wondering actually why there are two separate albums and not one double album.
I don't know. Honestly,
you're not helpful, are you?
Well, no, not really.
No.
I mean, I'll be honest and say it is really quite different. I'm a bad man. That's the honesty here. It's really quite difficult to actually find out much about this band. They are top 20 act album-wise in Japan. They are big news. They have their own YouTube channel, which I've spent a lot of time on again the last couple of days, but it's all written in Japanese. All their social media is in Japanese. But I like how they sound.
It's almost like Steven said, all right, I'm going to give Simon the most obscure, hard to decipher album in my collection. I know he's never heard it. And since he's just going to go, he's going on vacation anyway, I'm going to give him something really hard to tackle all he's got.
What I will say is it's not actually what I'd anticipated giving Simon. What I was going to give Simon and what was in the process of giving him was, if you remember, a band that were called Dear Mr. President. And then they were sued, I believe, by the White House to change their name. And they changed their name to Flesh and Blood, but written Flesh plus Blood. And they released an album, which was the same album as the Dear Mr. President album, as Dead, White and Blue. Clearly, lots of political references there. And I adore this album, by the way. It's very mature, very grown-up AOR. Finding it in any form other than actually buying a vinyl copy and sending it to Cyprus was virtually impossible. So I had to go somewhere else and went slightly off-piste.
That's okay, but hey, you never know. I'm really waiting to hear what Simon has to say about this.
Come on, I'll be quiet.
Okay, so there's two albums. Genesis of, what shall we go with, Rajin? And
I would say so.
Fuging Against the Realms. Now, like you said, there's clearly some form of concept, isn't there? Between you can tell from the artwork and everything else. And do you know what? I don't care about concept albums when they're in English. I don't follow the stories or any of this rubbish. So that's perfectly fine. Musically, I think both of them starts off with one of those like intro songs that we've always enjoyed so very much, the ones that just noodle along and they're quite. But I wrote down for both of them that the intros were pompous. But you've met me, and I like pompous. Pompous is good. Pompous is very, very good. There are, as you say, two singers, the female and the male, the yin and the yang. I see what they did there. I think I prefer her dulcet tones, to be brutally honest. On Genesis of Reid, I thought, my God, Steve Harris is playing bass for a Japanese kind of metal act. They're kind of like power metal-y, but there's also elements of pop, which is good. They're kind of track 5, as I like to call it, in particular. Quite poppy. Good old track 5. Big fan of track 5. Just tell me how it's pronounced, Stephen. Just track 5.
Track 5.
they're not. Just let me check. If you look on Spotify, they're not even numbered.
They are on the CD.
Physically count the tracks. Yeah. So yeah, it's quite poppy, quite power metal in places, but it's kind of like moments of calm. Come on, Pete, hold it together. You want to. Yes, yeah, just
I hope, yeah.
Those lyrics make all the difference now, right?
They really, really do. Thanks. Helpful. Really helpful. Okay. If we then move on to the other album, Fuging Against the Realm, again, opening quite pompous, a bit, saying, look, we've got a concept and it's so good. We're going to introduce it with this like big music. And then I do have to say that there are some absolutely, and I wrote down, dazzling guitars on what I like to call track 2. Absolutely, really, really, some absolutely tremendous guitar work, actually, which is interesting because the one that I now like to call final track on this particular album, which is really, really good. I really like the last track, not a clue where it's going. But if you listen to it with your phones on, the guitars are quite jangly. I don't mean like the Smiths or anything like that, but they are quite less metal than you're shaking your head. Why?
No, you said the Smiths, and I just went melted there.
Yeah, I did, but there is kind of like a jangle to the guitars that's definitely less metallic. And I think the albums are both much of a muchness. I'm not telling you whether I think they're great just yet, because I don't think I'm supposed to. But there's, they touch on most bases. There's growls as well, aren't there? Like Fido turns up partway through, but it's also quite ethereal as well. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot going on both records. And when I had them on this afternoon when I was dog sitting, I thought, partway through the Fuging Against the Realms, it was kind of washing over me. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I'm sure I'm like you, chaps. I have music on all the time. I'm really annoying Mrs. Simon. Just got it on all the time, and when I was moving about the house, it was doing a job for me. Maybe not necessarily completely catching me, but I was doing other things at the time. You know what I mean? And quite often when I'm listening to other music, I think that's rubbish and turn it off and flick it on. Now I listen to, as we said before, with the Eden's Curse thing, I listen to albums front to back, and yeah, good, fine. I very much enjoyed it. But I think this is the slightly weaker of the two.
I would agree with that, actually.
And one thing I did write down, I can see with the kind of like when they're in muscular mode, you can see why you would like both Eden's Curse and this lot. When they're, you know, in full on kind of mode, there's that kind of bigness to the production and the sound. So yeah, thanks.
So is this there's vocals on here, correct?
There are.
Okay.
Yes, there's a female and a male, and I think she does more of the singing than he does.
Okay.
And the you know, there's that, like I said, yin and yang, that kind of like definite. Oh, first time he turns it, you go, what the heck? Oh, there he is. Yeah, and I think he's used more sparingly than she is. Yeah.
I found like in like Japanese bands, or especially, you know, bands from Southeast Asia and what have you, when they sing in their native tongue, I find it a little jarring. But you haven't said that, so it's almost like the vocals are not bad, you know, and definitely listenable.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes,
Okay,
indeed.
cool.
I mean, I do like other Japanese bands like Oldius and Bandmade and what are they called? The ones that have just split, that have just gone on hiatus. Love Bites. They sing in English, but you can't really tell that they sing in English.
That's true.
Thank you. It is true, but I mean, the guitar work's absolutely stellar. But you know, you're thinking, can't quite tell what you say. And there used to be a band called Wizard Tim from Japan, and I believe they got diction work from Danny Vaughan, and you still couldn't tell a goddamn word you said. So, but the music's absolutely, to use a plotawism, stellar.
Cool. Sounds good. So, would you buy it? Would you maybe stream it occasionally on the internet, or would you forget it?
Well, no, I like to collect stuff. So if I like a band and I buy their stuff, I'm going to buy everything. Yeah, I'm going to buy at least all the studio albums, and you know, with certain acts, I'll buy, you know, the most obscure single, even though I've got it 58 times. So I'll stream it.
Okay.
But my decision is informed by the fact that they're really expensive to get over.
There you have it, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
when the price comes down, this may all change then, right?
It's not going to change. It really
not cheap.
You know, I object, and I don't know about you, Stephen, I object for paying for a CD more than $9.99. I completely object for that. And some of these are retailing three times as much. You know, there's a reason why I never buy anything from Frontiers anymore, and that's because they're 17, 18, 19 pounds for a CD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not cheap, it has to be said. They've got 15 albums, I think. I've only got 3 physical albums, these 2 and their most recent one, which is from about 3 years ago, because they are ridiculously expensive to get over here. I mean, you can go on eBay and various things, but the price is the same no matter where you go, because I have tried to get more because I really like them. But then you can get hit with the taxes as well, which I didn't with those, but I did with the most recent one, which is why I haven't gone and bought more, because there's another £11 on top of
delivery
plus for a CD. So yes, hence why I'm acquainted with them on YouTube. They are worth a watch if you like a band that clearly have an idea of what they are. I mean, they wear traditional Japanese garb when they play. It is from a distinct era of Japanese history. I can't remember which, unfortunately. And they've got a very distinct look. The videos tend to kind of look the same, but there's lots of sobs and fighting and people getting cut in half and things like that. So if you like something like that too,
hey, why not? Right?
Absolutely. You know, but yeah, they've grabbed me for a long, long time, and I really, really like them. I like a lot of Japanese music, rock and metal. They, to me, they straddle all of those spheres and more. There's a bit of pop music in there as well. As Simon mentioned earlier on, they can be very commercial, but there can be girls. And the first couple of times you hear them, there is moments where you kind of go, didn't anticipate that coming next, and I quite like that in the music too. So yeah, I aim to get more, and every now and again I go and look to see if it's come down in price. Not come down in price.
And with 15 albums, boy, that's a hefty sum you have to fork over to get the catalog, right?
A long way to go. Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
Well, Stephen or Simon, I'm gonna have to ask one of you guys in the comments below the video to please put the name of the band as best you can and the album titles, because I'm sure people are gonna ask, what was that album now? What's yeah.
I mean, you can go, I got mine from CD Japan, and they do try their best to avoid taxes and various things in the ways that they do. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. So yeah, if there's anyone
maybe you could just print out some of your favorite actual tracks, Stephen. I could type them out for the good people.
I believe that there's a format called copy and paste, and I may use that. I mean,
I'm obviously expecting a translation as well.
To put it really in context, depending on where you go and have a look, not even the album titles for these two albums match everywhere you look. So they don't care, obviously. They're not interested in the market outside Japan. They're big over there. They've been on the go a long time, late 90s, sorry. So very successful over there. They don't really need to kind of push it anywhere else by the looks of it, so they've decided not to, which a lot of Japanese acts will probably tell you is maybe the best thing to do, because a lot have tried and none have really managed to make a breakthrough. So I can see why they wouldn't bother in that sense. So yes, the music's great. The research, sorry, Simon.
All right then. So we got a fairly positive one on that one, so which is good. So Stephen, your assignment from Simon.
Well, and it was only fair because technically I gave Simon 2 albums. Technically, you could call it a double. Technically, it's 2 albums, and there's quite a lot of music there. So Simon responded in kind. He was slightly kinder, I may add, but he responded in kind. So I have 2 albums by the same band, and that band is Tycoon. Okay, so Tycoon were formed in the late 70s. I had to do a lot of research here. Oh, I'm glad you've got the album cover, because they really look like a bad 70s cop show.
That's a lot of mustaches. Holy moly. Yeah. Woo!
Oh, I mean, it's really it's like the Rejects from Hill Street Blues. Do you know what I mean? And the thing, go and bring it back, Simon, because the thing that struck me is they look like they don't want to be there. If that's the best band shot, wow. Do you know?
But by the second album, many of them weren't.
Well, yes, I was going to say it kind of makes sense when you actually move into it, because what you've really got here is 2 guys. You've got Norman Mershon, okay, who has then got links to Scandal and Patti Smith later on, and you've got Mark Creeder, I believe that's how you pronounce it, who...
Good Anglo-Saxon names.
Yes, absolutely. And the only thing that I can link him with outside of this, and there's a link here that will become relevant later on, is Let Me Rock You, the Peter Criss album, the ex-Kiss drummer at that stage. So the 2 albums that Simon's, they only did 3. So the self-titled debut came out in 79, I believe. Some places say 78, but 79, I think. And the rest of the band were rounded out by John Gordon. See, Simon helped me. I can read all of this. Mark Rivera, who has been in Ringo and his All-Star Band. And then Michael Fanfara and Richard Steinberg, who both also played in a band called Blackstone in 1972. Never heard of them, okay? So, as I say, on the cover, I mean, they look like they don't want to be there, but realistically, this is 2 guys and session musicians. That's what you've got. There's already a Toto vibe about the band, the way it's put together and the kind of backgrounds. And there's a Toto vibe about the debut. So, it is West Coast, it's smooth, it's gently funky in places. It's produced, I believe, by a certain guy who didn't do much else afterwards, Mutt Lange. So just a few albums.
You've heard of him, right? Yeah.
However, you can't really tell. I mean, there's none of his trademarks. They were early on here. We're early doors. So you can't really tell it's him. It's remarkably of its time. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. They had a hit. They got to number 26 in the Billboard charts with Such a Woman, which also reached the heady heights of number 99 in Australia, I'll have you know. And that is an excellent song, I have to say. It kicks the album off. It's smooth, it's groovy, the vocals are fantastic. It's an absolute belter. And you can see why it got some notice. Now, I've done little notes about the songs as I've gone through because I had never heard of this band in my life before. Do you know? And for this type of music it is, that's unusual in itself, it has to be said. So there's kind of, if you could imagine Toto playing the music from The Elder, that's such a woman. Do you know? It's got dun 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 dun. I mean, that's Gene Simmons on Dynasty, isn't it? Dun, 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 dun. But that's the bass line to Such a Woman. And then you've got these high vocals, but it's smoother than what Kiss would have done. So it's fantastic. It is absolutely fantastic. And then Slow Down Boy follows it. So there's a bass drum funk, and then there's a chicka chicka ching chicka chicka ching chicka 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 ching chicka ching on the guitars, and I'm immediately in the Bee Gees. And you're like, whoa, how did this happen? Do you know? But the chorus is like Styx has walked into the room. The harmonies are there. You can pick out the layers. It's fantastic. But then there's a sax solo. I mean, it's a good sax solo, and it sounds fantastic. It sounds a bit like Cagney and Lacey, and I can kind of live without that.
Well, you guys watch a lot of US shows over there in the UK.
Oh, huh? I was allowed to stay up late to watch the US shows. Come on. But I have to say, I mean, Merchant, what a vocalist. The guy can sing. His range is huge. There's a bit of grit in there, a really clear attack at times. The vocal harmonies on Don't Cry No More, I would say they're in the realms of Fat Bottom Girls by Queen. That's how good they are. Do you know, it doesn't sound like that song, but they can sing like that. I mean, it's put together fantastically, do you know? But it's a little all over the place. It's very of its time. You immediately, I was reminded of so many things that I couldn't actually pick out what I was reminded of, do you know? But you've also got to remember that it was from that era. So they're not necessarily copying. It's just the sound of the time. Yeah. Do you know, that they're not scene chasing because the scene isn't quite there yet. And how they weren't picked up and moved somewhere else with the sound that they had, I don't know. Maybe more to do with the politics in the band. So the way that it goes, it's a wacky keyboard sound. Then there's Drunken Sailor. I'm not so keen on Drunken Sailor. You make me feel like a drunken sailor. I mean, the chorus makes me cringe. Do you know? That's in an era of manly men. You make me feel like a drunken sailor sung in a high-pitched falsettos a bit.
Look at these people. Look at this.
You know?
I'm going to take my hoodie off and sling it over my shoulder.
Please do, absolutely. Do you know, I was reminded in places of City Boy because it's that same kind of structure of, do you know, we don't really care. We're going to do whatever we want. It can be pop, it can be rock, it can be West Coast, it can be disco, it can be funk, it can be a bit jazzy. We'll throw it all in there and just kind of rummage it around and see what comes out. Most of what comes out is pretty fantastic. And you think, well, okay, I really like the debut. I can't say I love the debut, but I really like the debut. When it's good, it's outstanding. When it's not so good, it's a bit out there, shall we say. So the second album, so 2 years later, 1981, they're on Arista Records, I think, for both. And this is Turn Out the Lights. Okay.
Sticker. Sticker alert. Look at that.
So I like it more now. I want that version.
Just before you said...
I remember that album cover. I've seen that before.
When I mentioned them to you, you said, nope, never heard of them.
But now that I saw that album cover, I remember them.
If you look on the back, look, they've all disappeared. It is a completely different band, virtually.
It's telling that when you see the front of the album, the two guys, Creeder and Merchant, they're there. And the rest, depending on what the lighting is on the album, you can see their silhouettes. But if the lighting's bad, it's just black. It's just these two. So we're really in the realms of two guys and a backing band. Okay, so for the backing band on this album, you've got Rivera, Gordon, Fanfara, Keith Taylor on keyboards, Mick Braun on drums, and Bobby Massaro on guitars. So from here you can go Stars, Peter Criss, Frankie and the Knockouts, Roland Turner, Fiona, Robin Beck, Clarence Clements. He's a player, do you know? He's a proper player. Production-wise, we've gone from Mutt to Vinnie Poncia. So there's the Kiss link. So Vinnie Poncia was involved with Peter Criss's solo album. He then went on to be part of the Dynasty Unmasked era, very controversial era of Kiss. He produced a band called Adrenaline, and that's probably a closer link with this album, I would suggest. Opportunity Knocks was the album that came after this, and a fascinating journey for me, I've listened to that one too, is each album is something completely different. And that can't help to me that I don't think, because here we are with album number 2, is it's suddenly classic AOR. So are we seeing Chasing a little bit? Possibly, but man, do they do it well. It's quite startlingly good. I was reminded of Balance in places, who were a fantastic act. That's Bob Kulick, so another Kiss link in there as well. Walking the Line especially reminded me of that, and the guitar and keyboard interplay in that song is fantastic. But the album opens with This Island Earth. Now, if there's one thing musically that I can never quite reconcile with, and I apologise to anyone that loves it, it's reggae. I just no, I can't do it, and I never will. And I understand there's lots of great reggae out there. In my world, there's no great reggae out there, but there you go. So This Island Earth is an AOR monster with a repetitive reggae breakdown. It's like, let's write the best AOR song in the world and ruin it completely as best we can, and let's open the album with that. Do you know? And it's an odd, for me, it's an odd way to do it. That and Call the Police, which is almost like a movie soundtrack song, is odd as well. Bit of City Boy again in there. It's kind of all over the place. They're the 2 songs on this album that I think everything else is fantastic. Everything else is absolutely fantastic. It's just monstrous AOR. There's things like Hang On In. That, to me, I can imagine if you put Paul Stanley on that, that could be on Unmasked. Now, I know a lot of people don't like that either. Kiss, I do. And it's just a fantastic, awesome song. Can't Take That Away. It's kind of throwaway, but man, it's a lot of fun. Love You Till It Hurts. It's smooth, it's memorable. It's just excellent, I have to say. And the whole album has a great feel. Over My Head kind of reminds me in places of, if Slade had been American, then that's roughly what they could have sounded like as well. There's a kind of chunky riff that builds and grows and comes back.
Could you do the riff for us? You're very good at that.
Seriously?
Could you do the riff
on that
for
one?
us? I've been entertained by this.
See if I can conjure it from somewhere. That was. So you can tell I've spent quite a lot of time with this, Simon, because it's almost indistinguishable, isn't it?
I'm not going to ask you to do reggae. That is just
Thank you, because it hurt. I was so close that it hurt, you know? So that was Turn the Lights, which from the 2, I must admit, I really, really liked. I really, really liked that one. I like the debut. When it's great, when it's good, it's great. When it's not, it kind of loses me. The second one, even the quirky songs, even with the reggae, I think are really quite good. So there you go. That's Tycoon's first 2 albums.
So would you buy them, stream them occasionally, or forget them?
Well, I'll be as confusing as I always am. Okay, because I think that if you could combine the best tracks on the first 2 albums, I'd buy it at a hefty price, because the good stuff is outstanding. I would stream the debut, and I'd stream it regularly. I would buy Turn Out the Lights. I've already bought Opportunity Knocks, because I went and listened to the 3rd album, and I'm really sorry, Simon. I love it. It's fantastic. It's a really high-tech.
I would have given you that if we were doing 3, but we weren't doing
Oh dear. And by the time that they get to the third album that we're obviously not talking about, they've even got a certain Hector Torres on drums who became Tico Torres. So we're even links to Bon Jovi and various things. It was recorded in 1983. It was released in 1999. Self-released on a CDR. It has had reissues since, and it's a reissue that I bought. It's not here yet because I think it's coming from further away than Japan, but it's not quite as expensive because to get a cheap one I had to kind of go a distance. But it's not here yet. It's probably coming from somewhere in Scotland. Who knows? But yeah, so stream the debut. I will probably buy the second one, but I've already bought the one that I'm not meant to be talking about.
What you need is a nice BGO release that has those first two on one CD, right?
Would be lovely. Yes, please. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I really like them. Really good, actually. A bit of an eye-opener because you kind of get a bit complacent. There are so many great bands out there that even now, 20, 30, 40, 50 years down the line, you think, how did I not hear about this band? You know, we're listening to stuff all the time. We're very fortunate in what kind of comes our way. And still, there's things like what Simon has sent me in the last week and a bit that makes you kind of stop in your tracks and go, wow, I know nothing. How good is this? So yeah, I really enjoyed that. It was a really, really good fun.
I mean, I remember seeing that album cover, but I don't remember ever hearing the band before. But you mentioned Balance before. They were recommended to me on a search I was doing on Amazon recently, and I was like, oh, I've never heard this band to my knowledge, and they look really good. And you ever hear of Dakota?
Yeah, they're worth a go as well. Yeah. I mean, Balance are kind of a cult AOR act. They're kind of held up as one of the great missed opportunities. They should have been a band that everyone knows about, but as so many should have been and could have been and would have been, they aren't. But their debut's phenomenal. The first two albums are phenomenal, but I love the debut. Some guys will say second one. But yeah, really good.
Cool. Well, this was a lot of fun. So we have two thumbs up on both ends, whether they buy them or stream them. They're interested in hearing more, and that's a good thing. So I want to thank both you gentlemen for spending some time with these two albums each, right? So this was a lot of fun. And for those asking, we will get the titles of these in the comments below, so you guys have them to check out and investigate further. So any last words, guys? Yeah, they go together pretty nicely there.
I love a gimmick. I love a gimmick, don't I? I love a gimmick.
There you go. All right, Simon, we got to see the two album covers that you have there too, because those mustaches.
God. Look at them. They hate it. They're hating every second of that. Look at them. Please don't take my photograph.
You prefer the second one, but this record, there's probably at least once a year I'll pull this out and play it incessantly for days on end, and then once I'll go in the car and play it again. I did it today, and I thought I've really got to listen to this Japanese stuff, and then I was bombing down the M65 today. Oh, such a woman, yeah, yeah, and then I pulled out some Bob Marley. That's not true, Stephen.
I was just about to say, as you can tell from my seamless renditions of all of the songs on those two albums, the impact they've had on me.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I can understand why you want to immerse yourself in them, because I sat down and thought, right, I'm to read through my notes, and as I'm reading through the songs, I can sing them all. So that tells you.
You think you can sing them?
Yes, I can sing them all.
I can't sing any of yours. Not a word, but I will wreak my revenge.
There we go. To be continued, right?
Bring it on.
There you have it, everybody. Thanks for watching this very entertaining episode of Album Homework Assignment. I want to thank both Stephen and Simon for taking part in this. This was a blast. As always, visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn
time.
There you go. For Simon Bray and Stephen Reid, I am Pete Pardo. See you all later on. Take care. Bye-bye.